In another, or rather an ongoing assault of the American education system, education officials in Florida are reporting that hundreds of books have been pulled from the state's school libraries. Everything from Judy Blume to Kurt Vonnegut is no longer available for students to read in Florida.
On 16-year-old Jack Hayes' bookshelf, you'll find books that may no longer be available in some Florida classrooms.
Ooh, Slaughterhouse-5.
His mother, Judy, said the Florida law restricting certain books in school libraries is hurting Jack's ability to learn.
We're not talking about Playboy magazine, we're talking about Anna Karenina.
The Hayes are part of a lawsuit filed Thursday by Penguin Random House and several other companies that argues the law violates the First Amendment and created a regime of strict censorship in schools. Right now, any county resident can challenge books over their sexual content. That book must be removed within 5 school days and remain unavailable until the objection is resolved.
Casey Meehan of PEN America, an advocacy group, said, "A restriction of access is a restriction on one's freedom to read. Students lose the ability to access books that mirror their own lived experiences, to access books that help them learn and empathize with people who have different life experiences." And you already know which books are being targeted, anything with any kind of LGBTQ content, because it's apparently pornographic, including a book about the true story of quote-unquote gay penguins raising a baby together. Anything racially suggestive that might make white children feel uncomfortable. And then there are the more politically charged books, for example, the graphic novel adaptations of Anne Frank's diary and George Orwell's 1984 have come under fire. But then several Stephen King novels have found themselves on the chopping block, such as It and Pet Sematary, as well as an instructional book on how to be a writer. I guess if they're not reading, it doesn't make sense for them to be writing either. Right now in Florida, under Republican Governor Ron DeSantis, parents are able to challenge which books are available to students in school libraries. And every year, school districts have to submit a report to the state with a list of titles that have been restricted within the district schools. Meanwhile, they have somehow found a way to blame all of this on the radical left, calling those so-called book bans just another leftist hoax. Sydney Booker, the spokesperson for the Florida Department of Education, had this to say about the restrictions. Once again, far-left activists are pushing the book ban hoax on Floridians. The better question is, why do these activists continue to fight to expose children to sexually explicit materials? That is a question. Whether or not it's a better question or even a good question is debatable. It seems to me like it's an intentionally misguided and disingenuous question, but there is an answer to that question. Unfortunately, that answer doesn't really matter because Sydney Booker, along with others who support moves like restricting students' access to certain books, do not care about that answer. They are so dogmatic about their belief that certain materials are bad for students to consume for whatever reason that they will not be swayed in that belief. The same could potentially be said for the people who are pro-book on the left, that we are stubborn in our belief that there should not be any limits on what school-age kids should be exposed to or be allowed to consume. But I think we also understand that experiencing things that are uncomfortable about the world, even indirectly through literature, helps to build more well-rounded and empathetic individuals. It encourages constructive thought processes. It alleviates fear about the world around you. It helps to prepare young people for a world that will not censor its ugliness from their delicate sensibilities. And they're going to gain exposure to it anyway. Who knows what they already have access to through social media? Who knows what they're already being exposed to outside of school, in their own homes even? Kids who are homeschooled already have a reputation for being more ignorant about the world at large than kids that go to public schools. And now there's this whole unschooling movement in which homeschooling parents don't teach their kids anything really. They let the child, who is a child, dictate what they want to learn about.
So the whole interview was about the dangers of unschooling, and there was a homeschooling expert that was like, well, my concern is that they're not going to be civic-minded members of a functioning democracy. First of all, it's dysfunctional. But second of all, that's the whole point, is to not pump out more civic-minded members of a functioning democracy. Lol. So... How's it going, guys?
Unschooling is where we don't run our lives based on a curriculum. We teach them through doing activities. We teach them through regular life. We go through our life and we're really intentional about how they're learning to read, write, doing math, the science, history, things like that. We do field trips.
Day one of unschooling, and I've got my kids helping me to clean the car out, teaching them hard work, taking care of the things that you love, that you need, and also just needed the car cleaned.
The theory behind it is that the kids will essentially figure out for themselves how to read and how to do basic arithmetic because they will want to learn it when the time is right for them, not when some adult or some system tells them that they should learn it.
So I'm an unschooling victim. Yeah, strap in real quick. Here's a funny thing about me, right? I have a legitimate fake high school diploma from the state that I was born in. I received it from a family member in my early 20s. They went and they got it for me in hopes that it would help me, like, get a better job. Here's the kicker. I was pre-accepted into a university. High acceptance rate? Yes. However, I was pre-accepted. We come to find out that diploma has no transcriptions attached to it because I never stepped foot in any kind of schooling facility at all. So it's a legitimate fake ID diploma. There's no transcriptions attached. No school listed.
It's unfortunate because if a child is, say, 9 years old and still cannot read, they would certainly already be feeling the weight of their limitations by then. But the bottom line is that these babies can't read, and that's really dismal for the future of this country. I don't want to live in a country where people can't read, nor do I want to live in a country where people think that's okay. Gen Z is already behind other generations in reading ability and comprehension, with professors in elite universities complaining that some of their elite students have never read an entire book in high school, let alone several over the course of a single semester or school year. And I don't know this firsthand, but I can only assume that those summer reading lists are non-existent these days, and they're worse off for it, but so are the rest of us. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.